Good evening, everybody. I have to tell you, I have a real special appreciation for this club, what you mean for the progressive movement in this city. When it was a very lonely thing to be a reform club, you were one of the originals. And you continue with such intense vibrancy, the same mission. I was so struck during the presidential election by what you created in this neighborhood, the way you brought so many people into the process, sent them to Pennsylvania, wherever the front line was. You had a huge impact. So just want to say a profound thank you to Three Parks for all you have done. And to Elizabeth, to Bob, to Cynthia, to all the leaders of the club, thank you. I want to talk to you about where I think this city needs to go. But I want to say up front that I am blessed to not only have my own conscience to guide me every day, but I have the conscience of a great activist who happens to share a home and life with me, so I'd like to introduce my wife, Charlene McCrae. And the first thing I want to talk to you about stems from our experience as public school parents. I have 14 years of experience now as a public school parent. As I like to say, I am still recovering from the middle school years. My daughter, Kiara, went to Beacon, not far from here. Our son, Dante, now goes to Brooklyn Tech. If the people choose, I will be honored to be the first mayor in recent history to serve as mayor while having a child in our public schools. And that's a big difference. You know, the current mayor has decided not only does he know what's best for us in general, but particularly in the area of education. He has decided that public school parents don't matter in the equation, have nothing to offer. He's decided that teachers are part of the problem. He's bought into a model that's simply not sustainable and won't help our children move forward. Now I want to tell you, I appreciate what John Liu said about his plan to raise taxes on the wealthiest New Yorkers, but I want to just tell him, 6 months earlier I had the pleasure of going before the Association for Better New York, and 6 months ago I said to the Association for Better New York, we need to raise taxes on the wealthiest New Yorkers, those who make $500,000 or more, for two purposes. So we can have full-day universal pre-K for every child in New York City. And so we can have a middle school seat for after-school seat for every middle school child who needs it. 3 more hours after school for every child who needs it, so they can succeed. This is all about what it will take to make our schools work for everyone. And you know, after the failures of the Bloomberg corporate model, and all the favoritism for Eva Moskowitz and her friends, which took us nowhere, it took us backwards, and all of the efforts to undercut schools that have been working, and anyone who's like me involved with the Brandeis campus knows what I'm talking about. DOE actually taking us backwards. After all that, it's time to actually invest in our children, respect our teachers, bring our parents into the process, and most simply stop teaching to the test. This school system is prey to a false idol of standardized testing, and you know what? Parents across the board are sick of it, are done with it, want it to stop. And they will tell you in no uncertain terms, this is their school system too. And they're sick of being ignored. Now I need your help on schools. We have a pledge card we'll have. If you agree with the notion of taxing the wealthiest New Yorkers so we can have full-day universal pre-K, so we can have after school for middle school kids, we need your help to get that done. Now let me say very quickly, this is just one. The inequities in education are just one of a series of challenges we face. I talk about a tale of two cities. It's what we're living now. We are living the greatest income disparity since the Great Depression. And we have a government that, instead of following the models that we all believe in as progressives, that when people are hurting, government steps in and changes things and reaches out we have had a mayor who has looked the other way. He has rapidly opposed living wage legislation. And he's had an ally in Speaker Quinn to help him make sure that that legislation didn't go too far. He has rapidly opposed paid sick days, even though it would affect over 1 million New Yorkers, and help them have some economic stability. And Speaker Quinn would not allow that bill to be voted on for 3 years. Now, this club knows something about fighting for democratic rights. What's happened to our city that something that would help 1 million of our fellow citizens cannot even get a vote in the city council? That has to end. You need a mayor who is a comfortable, secure, full progressive, who's ready to change this government and turn it toward the people. And nowhere is that more clear than the issue of police-community relations. Because we've all been told in no uncertain terms, because we care about civil liberties, because we care about the relationship between police and community and want to be respectful, because we think our young men of color are our future and we want to see them stop being mistreated on a daily basis, that somehow we don't care about keeping crime down. Well, my friends, we care just as much about safety, but we don't think safety has to come with injustice. My son Dante, 15 years old, a product from New York City Public Schools, reminded me of a quote from Benjamin Franklin. "Those who value security over liberty deserve neither." Dante was ahead of me. I did not know that quote. He taught it to me. But think about it. I'm sorry to the New York Post that every time they say, well, we want to reform, stop and frisk, there's something wrong with us. No, there's something wrong with a system in which 90% of those stopped have done nothing wrong by the police's own statistics. So, we need 3 simple things. We need a new police commissioner. We need a new police commissioner because this police commissioner will not make those changes. We need a real and strong inspector general because we never would have had the proliferation of stop and frisking if there was some serious oversight in the NYPD. And we need to take the concept of stop and frisk, which when applied constitutionally and modestly can be part of appropriate policing. We need to reform it to the point that it stops being something that sets back, constantly sets back the relationship between police and community. The only security is when police and community communicate, share, respect. That is the way forward for this city. So I will wrap it together and say, I have no fear of contradiction in this statement. You are one of the progressive beacons of this city, this club. There's so many people in this neighborhood. I need your help to change this city. We have been through a long 20-year winter. Governments that did not represent our values. We need to put together a coalition of people all over the city who want progressive change, who want to answer the disparities of this city, who believe we can and must do it. It will only work if we do what we know how to do best, which is work at the grassroots and organize people. It will only be sustainable if we continue that. So I want to be a mayor devoted to that change, but also devoted to building a movement of people who will sustain that change and help it reach each and every neighborhood of this city. Thank you. Yes, Madam President.
This is a question for all candidates, so I guess those of you who haven't spoken yet can take note of it. But if you are elected mayor, what are your intentions to save, create affordable and low income as well as senior housing?
Good.
So a general housing policy question.
First, the deliberate approach to affordable housing, although it did have made some progress, it was not equitable. It was not about spreading the virtue of affordable housing across all income levels. It leaned quite a bit to the higher side of affordable housing. What I said in the forum earlier today, I want to see our commitment to affordable housing be for all income levels within what we consider affordability. which means for the 20% of people in our city who are living below the poverty level, that they will have more chance of actually reaching affordable housing and living in a decent manner. I want us to use our pension funds to create affordable housing. Right now in New York City, over $135 billion we invest. Our pension funds, we have to protect our retirees. But there's so much more we can achieve at the same time. We're only putting 1% of that into affordable housing creation in this city. Other cities and states are way ahead of us. This is a tool we need to use. Bloomberg's left on the table, but we need to use it. We need to change the relationship between the federal government and this city. And this is an extraordinarily central mission for the next mayor. Remember when mayors of New York City were spokespeople for urban America? Remember when there was an urban agenda? And then another winter we went into where the federal government got out of the affordable housing business, got out of the mass transit and infrastructure business, where the federal government forgot its core obligation to build our cities and in effect build our nation. We are more central to the fate of this country than ever before, our cities. The next mayor needs to be a spokesperson again for urban America. I want to go down to Washington. I appreciate what Michael Bloomberg's done on gun control, I really do. But I want to take that same passion and intensity and go deeper and change the rules of the game in D.C., working with mayors and governors all over the country so that once again the federal government builds our cities up and helps us create affordable housing again for our people. We need that.
Do you think the City of New York is prepared to deal with the needs of seniors, the seniors we have today, as well as the ranks of boomers who will reach those golden years here in Manhattan? And what are your ideas for making New York City a better place for seniors?
Well, I would say two particularly profound things I think we need to change. One, look, the affordable housing equation has too often left out seniors. There used to be a federal approach to creating housing that focused explicitly, specifically on seniors and understood how important it was to build affordable housing for seniors. That's gone in large measure. But if we commit ourselves to a new generation of affordable housing creation, we can take the Bloomberg plan and make it more centered on seniors. We can take our pension fund assets and invest in the creation of affordable housing, a substantial amount of which could be for seniors. We can also drive a harder bargain with developers. Remember, for 12 long years, if you think Eva Moskowitz has had the run of the place at the Department of Education, let's talk about some of the big developers in this town who on Bloomberg's watch got extraordinary acquisitions of public value and gave precious little in return. Well, they will still want that opportunity to build more. The difference now would be, when I'm mayor, we won't give away the store. We will demand the maximum available affordable housing. And they either give us the affordable housing, or they don't get the opportunity to build. That's a fair deal. And that, again, would allow us specifically to build a substantial amount of that affordable housing for seniors. The other piece I want to mention is that we have a chance still. I think there's been some serious missteps on this front by the mayor. We have a chance still to create a taxi fleet in this city that is wheelchair accessible. That will help so many New Yorkers. That will help those with disabilities, and it will help more and more of our seniors as well. And this is an example of where a strong activist government can make all the difference. For a variety of reasons, every time we've gotten to one of those milestones where the mayor could have focused on a policy that would guarantee that all new taxis were accessible, he has turned away. I will not turn away. I want to use the tools of government to help our citizens. So I will conclude. Am I out of questions? Or did I get another one?
No, we get another one. I think we had several questions on this. There are a number of people in this community who have been very concerned about the position on
I have a strong position. Look, I think that the horse carriages around Central Park are just plain inhumane. And it's the same thing. I'm speaking to a room of progressives who know that so much of the debate on any issue, maybe it is some kind of residue of McCarthyism that still haunts our society. It certainly haunts the New York Post. Anytime you say we need something that is progressive change, you get thrown something back at you that's just not true, not relevant. So I talked about stop and frisk, and if you want to reform stop and frisk, somehow you don't care about stopping crime, and nothing can be further from the truth. But when it comes to horse carriers, I've been strongly advocating for years an end to horse carriages in the city. They're inhumane to the animals, they're unfair to everyone around them, and the mayor claims this is, by the way, the mayor, in one of his off-the-cuff moments, which are so frequent, claims that our tourism will ground to a halt without horse carriages. Now, I want to remind you, I was under the mistaken impression that people came here for things like Broadway and museums and restaurants. Apparently, according to the mayor, it was all horse carriages. But the fact is, you can say, we don't want an inhumane policy, but that doesn't mean we want the people who are now running horse carriages to be out of work.
Yes, we do.
There's other ways they can have, well, some of us don't. There's other ways they can have work in the same exact industry with replica electric vehicles, with other alternatives. So there is no contradiction between wanting fairness and humanity and still wanting to make sure people have a job. That's something we can achieve. May I wrap up? I saw that look of order in your face, and I said, let me get ahead of this. So everyone, look, thank you for the chance to be with you. Truly appreciate the level of focus and concern in this room. It is, again, so wonderfully classic in terms of this club. We have to change the city. I'll leave you with this. We have to change the city. The status quo is not sustainable. This level of income disparity alone can't take us into the future. But to confront these inequities, you will need both a coalition of New Yorkers and a resolute leader. And I'll tell you something, I have taken on the real estate community time and time again. I'm still here. I've led the opposition to Bloomberg over term limits. I was up against a billionaire, but I'm still here. We can make these changes. It's our city. Even though we get told in lots of ways it isn't, it's our city, and it's our time to do something about it. Thank you.